Hello, everyone, and welcome to I Choose Happy, presented by The Comfy. I'm Marilyn Byrne, and on the show today, we have Keri Chen, and we have to start with a trigger warning. Her story is intense, it's tragic, and it involves the murder of her mother and baby sister. And while it is really hard to hear, if you stick with us, I promise you, you will feel uplifted and inspired. Keri Chen lives in the Bay Area. She is a wife, a mother of 3 grown, beautiful women, and her story is one you'll remember forever.
You know, I appreciate every single day I'm given. You know, we just never know what tomorrow brings. So I live each day just really soaking it in. If it means like the warmth of the sun on my skin or taking a walk, around the block, it doesn't matter. It could be anything that's very simple, but I have the air in my lungs and I breathe every day. So I don't know. I think just finding the little things in life that you don't want to take for granted, you know? So I
Yeah.
am very happy. I love being a mother. I love being a wife, a homemaker. This is me. And I find happiness every day. I think what it was that I went through at such a young age helped me really dig deep and find grit in my life. You have to keep going. You have to
Mhm.
take the next step and just keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And I would love
Yeah.
for you to take us back to those early days of your life
Uh-huh.
and share with us the beginning of the trajectory of going
Yeah.
back to where things started there for you.
Yeah. So I grew up just a very, very wild kind of uh I don't know. I have a brother and a sister, and I had another sister. And my mom was also kind of a stay-at-home mom, but she kind of did a little bit more risky things than what I would ever do with my life. And by her doing certain risky things, it just kind of like put us in a very precarious situation.
Mhm.
Um, so my mother, when I was 8 years old, was murdered.
Mm.
And it was a lot. I'm the one that found her in the morning, just on the floor. Um, that night, I had a dream, and it happened when my little sister, who was almost 4 at the time, she was 3 and a few days actually, she was going to be 4. And she had come into the room in my bedroom, and she was trying to wake me up. It was the middle of the night. And as she's trying to wake me up, she's saying, "Daddy's killing mommy. You need to help." And
Mm.
I just assumed she was having a nightmare. So, and I was so tired. I was all of 8.5, almost 9 years old. So I just told her, "Come on, get in bed with me. Just scoot in." So I remember feeling her climb up into my bed with me, and she stayed there for a little while. And then I remember feeling her get up and open the door to the bedroom and then close my door. I was really particular about my bedroom door always having to stay shut. So she remembered to close my door. And then I saw her tiny little feet walking back towards the living room just through some light that was in the living room.
Mm.
And I just went right back to sleep. I
Mhm.
was 9 years old and there was nothing. I didn't really feel like getting up.
Yeah. And you
So,
said you had a dream. Was that
yes. So I had a dream that night. I mean, it could have been because she had come into the room or what, but the dream was that there was somebody crawling through my bedroom window, and that came in through my bedroom window and like did harm within the family. And I don't know, uh I don't know how much that goes goes into play with all of this. But um, when I woke up in the morning, I saw my mom laying on the floor, and I saw my brother at the time, who was he was so little. I was the oldest one. So my brother was 5 and 5, maybe 5.5, 6. And he was sitting on
Mm,
the couch with his little underoos on watching cartoons. And my mother is laying on the floor, and
mm.
she has what I assumed to be nail polish. Remember, I'm 9 years old. So I thought she had nail polish on in her mouth. And I just said, "Ooh, somebody is going to be in trouble because they poured nail polish in mom's mouth." It's a very like young, naive
Wow.
thing to say.
Wow.
And at that time, my eyes just glanced over and I saw that the front door was open, maybe 2 inches or something.
Mhm.
And so much was happening at once. And my brother gets up from the couch, walks over. My mother's robe is on the love seat next to the couch. And on top of the robe was a gun. And it had some like a silencer of some kind. It was like a long piece on the gun. And he went to go pick it up. And I immediately told my brother, "Stop, don't touch it. Fingerprints." You know,
Wow.
I'm 9 years old. But I will say that any of that type of knowledge that came to me was because of the DARE program. Do you remember the DARE
Yeah, I
program?
do remember the
I
DARE
mean,
program,
when
of
I was
course.
little, it was so crazy because it was just starting the DARE program, which was drug abuse resistance education. And they were
Mhm.
starting in the schools, and this officer or somebody of that nature would come in and tell us about all different types of things, and if we ever see things, not to touch it, and why
Hmm.
we wouldn't do it. So it was like this education that I was getting while I'm in a class, knowing what's going on at my house.
And this is flooding in at this
And
moment.
I just was like, "Oh no, here I am, like with crazy stuff going on at my house, but I feel like I can't tell these people because I know that whatever's going on at my house is wrong." So anyway, so when my brother went to grab for the gun, I was like, "Don't touch it. There's fingerprints there." But when he did that, it moved the robe a little bit, and I was able to see that my 3.5-year-old sister is under the robe. And when I looked, she had a bullet hole in
Mm,
her head. And I immediately, so much was going through my head because she had tears, dried tears on her eyes also. And I just had so much going on in my head that I'm looking at the door. The door is open and it has keys the in the doorknob.
mhm.
And all I was thinking is when my mother got into a fight with my stepdad a few weeks or so prior to this scenario, he took the keys with him, and we only had one set of keys.
Okay. So there's a big clue for you right at this moment,
So
right?
I'm like, all of a sudden, keys are showing up. This is all going on. And I'm so little and I'm just trying to
Mm.
piece everything together. And
Had you ever
um,
seen a gun before? Had you ever seen
I
him
had
with a
seen
gun?
guns before. Yes, I had
Okay.
seen guns before. I had seen shotguns, rifles, handguns. I had seen guns before. So I knew exactly what it was. I knew
Mhm.
that it was dangerous. I knew not to touch it.
Did you
And
think immediately this was his gun before you saw the keys? Was that
I didn't think anything about the gun because I know that my mom keeps certain things in her room locked
Mhm.
up. So, somebody has let it out. Somehow a gun has come out, or I didn't think too much about the gun. I was more focused on those keys because we had been being pushed through my bedroom window for weeks because my mom had no keys. She would
Mm,
lock the door and be like, okay, I'm going to put you through the window. You go in and unlock the door so that we can get in the house. She
mm,
had no keys. It was just our way of doing things. And I knew he's the only one that had the keys. So
gotcha.
now I'm scared. So I told my brother, we need to get out of here because he's going to be in the house. And that immediately scared my brother. And he said, okay, I'm going to get my clothes on. And he started to pass me, and I grabbed him by his little underoos. And I said, no, he could be in the house,
Mm,
you know? And so then he just stayed by me. And I am now terrified to reach down and get my 2-year-old sister, who is laying across my mother, holding on to my mother, because now I've seen what has happened to my 3.5-year-old sister.
mhm,
So
mhm.
when I reached down to grab my 2-year-old sister, she moved and she hugged me and put her little head right here when I lifted her up. And I just held on and was like, thank God I have one alive. But in that movement, in the movement of me shifting my sister up, I broke that seal on my mom's lips, and the blood just like went really crazily down the side of her chin. And that visual, I don't think I'll never forget it.
Mm.
And yeah, so we had
Well,
gone
can I
through
ask you, can I
yeah,
just ask you,
yeah,
you're 8 years old.
yeah.
Do you remember what was going through your mind at that precise moment?
I need to get my siblings out of here and be safe. I need to find safety.
Mm.
I mean, I think that it's like in all of us, we all want to feel safe. That environment was not feeling safe.
And you
And
realized that your mom had died at that
I
point.
realized my mother had died,
Okay.
and I am responsible. I am the oldest, and I always had a very motherly nature to me anyway
Mhm,
when it came to my siblings way prior to this. So that kicked in even
mhm.
100 times more, right? So I'm just like, you guys stay by me. It's my responsibility to get us out of this house safe. And that's the way I looked at it. So, and we were safe. We were brought into my grandparents' home that was very warm and caring. They
Can
Yeah,
I walk you back just a little bit though?
yeah,
When you walked out with the kids,
yeah.
where did you go?
Okay, so it was a very new home for us. That's why we also didn't have keys. We had only been living there, I'm wanting to say 2 months, but it could
Okay.
have even been less than that. It
So you
was a
probably didn't really know your
We
neighbors.
didn't know our neighbors, we didn't know the kids, we didn't know anybody. So when I walked out, I'm standing on in the doorway, actually. I wasn't even on the porch yet. I was just standing in the doorway, and I noticed a couple that was out on the curb of the next door neighbors, and they were putting together, like, working on a motor home or something, like, as if they were getting
Mhm,
ready to leave on a vacation. And I I just yelled out. I said, "I need help, help." And I'm sure my voice was cracking and I was terrified, but she turned around and she looked at me, and um yeah, she knew something's going on up here.
mhm.
These kids are, as white as a ghost, and
Yeah.
what is going on?
In your underwear. I mean,
Right,
it was
exactly.
go time, right?
Like this is the
Mm,
morning time. We're just barely waking up and we're coming across all of this. So she's like she's being very apprehensive, and she's very slowly, I felt like, taking her time to come up our walkway to our porch. And I could just see it on her face also, the anxiety. I
mm,
think she didn't know what she was about to step into.
sure.
And she's being very cautious as she's walking up, and she's saying things like, "What is it, sweetie? What happened?" And I'm just, I kept repeating, "My mom is dead. My mom is dead. I need help. I need help."
Mm,
And she just, I think it wasn't, it wasn't computing, you
mhm,
know?
mhm.
So, which is very understandable. And as she got closer, she was able to look into the house as I'm basically up to like her chest or something. And she's able to look over me into the house, see my mother on the floor. And I think just the whole anxiety of the entire process, she pushed us forward and she just threw up in the side of the
Oh, God.
lawn.
Wow.
It was just too much. And from there, she just scooted us over and took us into her grandchildren's playroom, and it was like we had forgotten everything. It was like, yay, new toys, I mean, we're little.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, next thing you know, we were just playing with things, and the an officer, or probably CPS or something, like,
Mhm.
came in and talked
Mhm.
with
Yeah.
us, and just asked if we knew any family close by, and just the regular thing that they do after those type of traumatic events with children. And we found ourselves at like at a juvenile hall, I believe is what it was.
Wow.
They put us in juvenile hall because our grandparents were far. We didn't have anybody that lived really close to us, so our grandparents were out of state.
When you were saying about
Mhm.
the dream you had the night or that
Yeah.
you felt like something came in the room,
Yeah.
did you
Yeah.
feel like that was a guardian angel? Do you remember what they
No.
said to
No.
you, or was anything
It was
said?
not. No, I didn't feel, because it was a negative. It was a
Okay.
negative feeling in my dream, like there was harm. So with that dream, it for
Mhm.
sure was some type of like harm. But I feel like also at the dream, if if I really like try and go back there, I never felt scared for myself.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes sense or not, like
Somehow you knew you still felt
somehow
that
I still
protection.
felt the protection, exactly.
Okay.
Somehow I'm still feeling as if I'm protected.
Mm.
And I don't know why. I don't know what it is,
Mhm.
I mean,
Did you ever have a sense of people talk about survivor's guilt or, you're
I
this
did.
young girl and you
Mm.
see your 3-year-old sister. I can't even
Yeah.
begin to imagine the pain, that you had gone through, and I'm wondering as an 8-year-old too, how were you able to make sense of what was real and what had happened?
So, first with the survivor's guilt, that took me quite a bit. It took me a long time to not focus on that, because my sister came into the room and was asking for help.
Mm,
And I didn't get up, you know? And so there was a lot of me through my childhood. I would say by the time I was about 15, 16, I had retold this story hundreds of times. And in a way, that was my therapy, because my grandparents didn't believe in therapy.
okay.
There was no counselor, there was no therapy time, there was not even really, like, books that they would think it's okay for me to just it was just something that they didn't really believe in, or they didn't really want me to go down the the therapy path. So, my therapy, I had to find it on my own, and it was talking about it. And getting other people's perspective, or the way even you responded, how you're like, oh, that's a lot of strength that you have. It's like I needed that from different people that were telling me that from the time I was really little. My grandmother had a home of 7 grandchildren,
Oh,
and
wow.
I was the oldest. So it was a lot she had on her plate, because all of her biological children have had children and couldn't take care of them for whatever reason and dumped them onto my grandmother.
Oh my
So my
goodness.
grandmother tried her hardest to be like the, strong woman that she was. Um, so I wouldn't have burdened my grandmother with anything that was, oh, let me talk
Yeah.
about my feelings,
So you had a
grandma.
real sense of where you were in that new family.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's incredible that you had that sensibility of, well, this might be too much for her. I mean, you're this young
Absolutely.
person.
I would not have, definitely would not have tried to burden anything from myself onto my grandmother. I already knew I had so much respect for my grandmother and my grandfather, who was not my biological grandfather, for
Hmm,
taking us in,
yeah.
keeping us together. So anything they asked of me, I'm going to show up 1,000% for you. You want me to have good grades in school? 1,000%. You want me to clean the house, dust on Wednesdays, whatever it is, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it like top notch because I'm able to keep my brother and my sister together.
Yeah.
This is huge.
So who were you telling the story to? Who was listening?
So I had friends that would, the kids also, teachers, it didn't matter. I would be at any type of function and my grandparents would be there and they would say, "Oh, is that your parent?" "No, that's my grandparents." "Oh, well, where's your mom?" It just it happens. Those
Mm,
type of conversations just come up. "Oh, I see your grandfather is here. Where's your dad?" "Oh, well, my
mhm,
dad was never in the picture," So, I'm a talker. you
mhm.
know?
And you had to get it out. You
I
knew
had to get it
somehow
out. I had to get it out, and
intuitively that you had to keep sharing this until real healing was happening for you.
absolutely, absolutely. And my grandparents, I will say, they were part of a very large organized religion, that I have since stepped away from.
Mhm.
And within that organized religion, there were a lot of people that really gave me just this hope, you know, and instilled in me faith. And they, people of like all different cultures, and it didn't matter. Like I was one of them, and I felt it very strongly. So, it's just as we grow, things change.
How did you help the investigators further the investigation and find your stepfather?
Yeah, they never asked me. So they never asked me who I thought did it. I was never asked that question because I immediately would have told them.
Interesting.
So, it wasn't until my stepfather even came to our home once I was living with my grandparents and brought us our bikes. He brought us, things that were at the house. He was going through and selling things. And even my grandparents had never asked me, "Who do you
Hmm.
think did this?"
So he was not a suspect at this time? Or do
I
you just don't
mean,
know? You don't know.
I knew for a fact.
Yeah.
I knew for a fact. I was a kid, but I didn't it's not my place.
And he was not, being held for anything? And you weren't aware if the investigators were honing in on this man as
Nope.
okay.
Mm-mm. I was just living my life daily, just learning who my cousins are and learning who my grandparents are and
Mm,
new kids down the street, what school I'm gonna go to. It was so much for me that I'm just now like, okay, well, that happened. So now I'm in survival mode. This is my
yeah.
next step. I need to go here. I need to do this. I need to learn how to do this. I'm no longer worried about that guy because, in my opinion, he was nowhere around.
Were you afraid after this? Were you worried that he was gonna try to come find all of you? I mean, if you knew this was
Yeah.
the guy who did it,
Yeah. Yeah.
how did you cope with that fear, or did you just kind of feel like you were not the target for his rage?
I definitely never felt like I was the target, and I felt very
Mhm.
safe at my grandparents' house. I felt
Okay.
extremely safe at my grandparents' house, even when he was there. I just I didn't it didn't dawn on me at 9 years old to be like, "By the way, you guys all know that he's the one that killed my mother." Like, it just I don't know why. Looking back, it's like, "Hello, why would you not?" But I can only say that it's because I was 9 and I was very naive and I was a child and I didn't know anything about the justice system.
Mhm.
I just didn't know.
You didn't feel like you were protecting him in any way for your safety?
I never felt like I was protecting him. I do
Mhm.
remember him putting me on a bike and, pushing me as fast as I could down a road and then realizing I had no brakes, he that type of stuff. And
Okay.
I like maneuvered my way to where I didn't fall or, there were things that he was doing, I'm sure, to try and get me out of the way,
Okay.
get me hurt, anything like that. There was a kidnapping thing that happened that I can't totally say for sure is related to that, but when I was walking to get my grandmother milk, I had an instance where somebody was trying to get me into their car and I ran as fast as I could to a neighbor's house, and
Ugh.
this is weeks before the trial where I was going to be testifying because by this time now he has been like now he's a full on suspect because he walked into a bar and decided to drink a ton and tell some guy standing next to him that he had offed his wife and his baby girl and blah blah blah. And that gentleman that was at the bar immediately called the police department, was like, I don't know if this guy's like for real or not,
Yeah,
but
crazy
check
or
into this
yeah.
guy because he's saying this type of stuff and that's crazy. So,
So when you say, and I'm sorry that I didn't just catch that earlier, but when you were talking about, he's pushing you down this hill or down the street on your bike and there are no brakes,
yeah,
you were really you were now looking back,
yeah,
realizing that he
right.
was maybe trying to get you out of the way.
Yeah, I think he knew that I knew. I'm also the one that knew about the keys, I knew he's the only
Right.
one that had the keys.
Wow.
I'm the one that was pushed through the window to go and open. I mean, 10 times I was being pushed through the window because I needed to go in and unlock the door so my mom and the kids could come in. It was just one of those things like and I remember being on the stand and being questioned like, "Well, how do you know your mom didn't have another set of keys?" I was like,
I
"Well,
lived it.
why
Yeah.
would she be pushing me through the window?"
Yeah.
Like, let's
Right.
think about that for a little bit, like half a second. So, it wasn't just for my enjoyment,
No.
we needed to get into the house.
And do you remember, what was going through your mind when you were taking the stand, against him? I mean, was there a lot of fear? Was there a feeling of, I'm gonna make this happen? Was there conviction there for you? I mean, you're so young.
You know, I was still too young. I was still
Mhm.
too young. It was an experience for me. And it was somebody just asking me questions. And I was just very honestly, as a child, the pure innocence of a child, just answering the questions that
Mhm.
are coming my way. I never felt fear of this man
Okay.
from the time I mean, even though he pushed me on the bike, I still was like, "Yeah, whatever," "Oh, this bike didn't have brakes," but it wasn't until much later in my adulthood even that I was revisiting certain things and being like, "Wow, actually." You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. That just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it just
And then
doesn't
it
make
does
sense.
make sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, and then you're just like, "Wow." I
Did you
mean
when he ultimately went to prison, is he still in prison?
I just got word not too long ago that he's deceased now, but he
Okay.
he did, breathe in prison until, recently. Yeah.
What how does that make you feel?
it's just he's like a blip.
Mhm,
Like,
mhm.
I don't have any feelings about this person. He is the father of my biological sister. We we have separate fathers. Um, and I know she at one time in her life has reached out to him, I think actually a
This is
couple times.
your
This is
surviving
my
sister.
surviving
Yeah.
sister. And I mean, she was 2 at the time. And I
Mm.
think she's on her own healing journey and probably needed to do that, but that's not me.
That was some
And
kinda closure for her.
that was maybe some closure for her, but that's
Mhm.
her story, and I don't really know, however she wants to deal with that, but he took my mother, he took my baby sister also, which was her biological sister from both sides, her
Mm.
full true sister, but she was only 2. She has
Hmm.
0 memory of this at
Mm.
all. So, I think because I know so much, so to me, the guy is just he's a peon, he's
Mhm, mhm.
literally.
It's so fascinating to me that, the strength your strength is astounding.
Oh,
It's
thank you.
incredible, because you did not as big and as intense and as terrifying as those moments were for you as a child, you did not let them define you
Right, no.
for the rest of your life.
No, and it really was a day in the life of Carrie. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm, mhm.
this doesn't define me. It did put me on this trajectory, I will say, and I think I've come to peace and I've come to terms with, I feel, in a way, this was my mother's choices that had brought her to that end,
Mm,
and had she continued living, what really would have happened to myself and my brothers and my sisters? Because that environment that was created out of pure struggle, I will say, she is a mother and she's trying to do things the best that she can,
mhm.
but it wasn't the best environment to be raising your children in either.
Right.
So I
So
was
the
taken.
escalation that could have come.
Correct, correct. Who knows how
Mhm.
my life would have what the trajectory of my life would have been had that not happened.
Talk
So
about
I feel
perspective.
by the time that I was about 17, between 15 and 17, I had an entire, I had to like really think about this whole thing. And yes, my grandparents were extremely strict. They were very um religious and I felt like I was in this bubble and I was doing everything that I possibly could to make them proud and make them so glad that they took us in. And then, it's just I'm doing everything that I can to for them to like balance out how I felt for them taking me in and my brother and my sister. Um But I was the only one really doing that. My
Hmm,
brother wasn't doing that. My
hmm,
sister definitely wasn't doing that,
mhm,
because they didn't have that same appreciation of how lives could have been different. Do you
mhm.
understand?
No,
Like,
well, I just think your
yeah,
sense of I don't know, even some the word accountability wants to come into my mind,
yeah,
even though that was here you're a child and you're
yeah,
trying to adapt to this
yeah,
incredibly stressful
yeah,
situation, a house
yeah,
with people that you had never lived with before, with all
right.
these other kids and a new school
Mhm.
and a new neighborhood. And yet somehow you had this incredibly grown up sense about you or
Yeah,
this innate maturity. I don't even know what the words are to describe what I'm trying to um, check into here, but it's like this young person with so much depth and strength to say, I can't burden them right now because the gratitude for just being here and being safe and having a future and having a chance and that my siblings were together, all of that, it's wrapped up in gratitude too.
Absolutely. So much gratitude. I had so much gratitude and just I was so, so thankful for my grandparents taking us in. And,
Mm,
I mean, still to this day, I mean, they've now since passed, but I just to think, like, where we could have been,
mhm.
like,
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
knows?
It's just it's unbelievable. I want to talk about you have 3 of the most beautiful
Mhm.
daughters inside and out. I mean, happy. I've seen them. I those smiles. And when I think of you, Keri, I always think about your smiling face. I mean, when I see you, you have this joy that that comes out of you, and everybody wants to be around that. And
Aw.
you're such a beautiful wife and mother. And I want to know, how do you think this whole experience, this early childhood experience, has given you perspective as a mom?
Well, my mom wanted so badly to be a mother. She loved being a mom. She wanted so badly to stay at home with her children and to make that safe environment for her kids. And the second I became pregnant, basically, I was like, that's it. I'm gonna, this is, I'm gonna jump in with both feet. And this is
Mhm.
gonna be quite the path for us because I'm gonna do it at the best of my ability. And I've always kind of kept that. I just try and keep a safe environment for my girls and keep communication open. They know
Mhm.
they can always talk to me about anything. Um, yeah, I feel like in a way, I wanted to make sure that I'm going to be the best mom that I can be because my mom didn't get to finish being the best mom that she could have been. Right. So it's just, again, it's just the whole gratitude of my grandparents for taking us in, just the circle of life, the way that it goes on, you know? Yeah, she was able to be a good mom up until the time that she passed. Some people may have judged her and like her experiences and everything, but my mom was trying the best that she could
Hmm.
to do that. Unfortunately, it just ended prematurely, or maybe it ended when it needed to end. I don't
And
know how else to look at it.
I think that's really important to distinguish here, that you're incredible.
Oh,
That
thank you.
you're able to understand that there were, what do you want to call it, flaws, there were limitations in your mom, or
Mhm.
choices that she was making that was putting
Correct.
herself at risk and the rest of you at risk.
Mhm.
And yet you did feel loved by her.
Absolutely, absolutely. There was not a day in my childhood growing up that I never felt loved. I
Okay.
always felt loved. And just talking to my other family members that I didn't know at the time, but knew her, or even her friends after she's passed, like all these people just know, like, she was a great mother. This was a woman that loved being a mother. Like, she loved to join her local church and go in with the women, do like Sunday brunches and, bring her grandmother's recipes and things. I mean, she loved being a mom.
Mm,
And it's just, she wasn't given like the best route and the best, like, she wasn't given the right blueprint to follow. Do you know what I'm saying?
mhm,
Like,
mhm,
her everything just goes back, right? So it's like a generational thing, and if you don't stop that generational trauma
Yeah.
and recognize it and actually work at stopping it is just going to continue. So, like, her mother was married at 16 because she thought she knew everything, and then
Right.
went on to have a lot of children with a very abusive man, So it's like she
Okay.
grew up seeing her mom struggle and, it's just it it's like instead you need to break the cycle.
Yeah, and
You
I
have
was
to
just gonna
stop the
say, and you
trauma.
did it. You did
Yeah,
it. How do you
stop
why do
the
you
trauma.
and why do you think what is it? Is there something you can point to for someone who's listening out there, who's saying, "I wanna break that chain. I don't wanna repeat what's been done." Was there something that you just innately knew, "I am never, ever doing this to my kids, or I'm not gonna put myself in this position," or did you feel that that just naturally evolved for you, as you became a mother? Did you have the foresight and sort of the conviction to decide ahead of time, or was this something that, that
I
as you evolved, you just kept making the right choices?
Yeah, I feel like from a very early age, kind of even prior to my mother's death, I was an extremely observant child. Very observant. I like to watch people and just see how they did things. And I think it went on through the rest of my life. I was surrounded by people who were making really good choices with their lives and people that were making disastrous choices with their lives.
Okay.
And I would just sit and watch the consequences. What's happening to these people? Well, what's happening to these people? Whoa, well, I don't need to. After a while, it's like common sense. I don't need to fall flat on my face to know that's not the route I need to go down. Instead, I'm watching how other people are able to get things done and, like I just was like, can I just I'm gonna go that route.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know with your daughters having the access to you with whatever they
Mhm.
wanna share and whatever they
Absolutely.
wanna talk about. I mean, it's just
Yes.
that is just such a key to
Mhm.
that flow.
Yeah.
Do you talk to them about what happened when you were 8 and, how does that come up once in a while or
They
more than once in
all
a while?
know the story. Yeah. They
Okay.
all know the story. You know, well, where's your where's my grandma from your side? I mean, these stories come out, and for the most part, my daughters are extremely protected when it comes to who on any side of my family who has a relationship with them. They don't really know too many of people in my family, if I'm going to be truthfully honest. I have shielded them from a lot because so many family members are continually making decisions that are keeping them within a cycle.
Mm,
And they have yet to recognize to break that. And because of that, my kids they don't even know. They don't even know so and so. They don't know any of these people because I shield them. And the ones that they do know is because I know that they're a safe person
mhm.
that I
Or
can bring.
there's growth
Yes, there's
there.
growth there. There's growth there, and I know that they are a safe person to have around my child, and yeah, I mean,
Mm,
I think so many, parents really need to just know I don't trust anybody, actually. I don't trust anybody around my kids, especially when they were little. I didn't care. It takes one crazy little incident to happen, and it can affect a child forever. So
mhm.
I don't trust anybody, you know?
Right.
So if
And
my
you have
kids
that
wanted to go camping or they wanted to go to a sleepaway camp or something and they were going to be gone for a week or what, no, I don't do it. Like, hey, guess what? Mom's taking you camping. Let's go. I'm in the tent
yeah.
with you. We're hanging out.
Right,
But
right.
I'm I'm personally, and for any mother that does want to do it and send their child away to these long 3-month away camps, I am not judging at all. I'm just saying that, like, I just do things differently because of the experiences that I've had in my own life. To me, the risk and reward is not worth it.
No,
So
and
I
your
prefer to keep
discernment,
them.
your incredible
Yeah.
discernment
Mhm.
has obviously led you down the right path.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Thank you.
Yeah, because it's evident in you, in your confidence, in your children, in
Yeah.
their beautiful journeys.
Yeah. Thank
They're
you.
doing great,
They are
and
doing
you're
great. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, they're doing great. What would you say to someone listening who's carrying a very deep wound?
Well, you have the choice to carry that wound and you have the choice to let it go, right? So, my advice would be not carry the wound. You know, that wound is not defining you. I mean, that just is applicable to what it is that I went through. So, I can't really say with other people. I mean, I feel personally there's so many other stories out there that even when you had asked me to do this, I was like, well, there's so many other stories out there that are way crazier than mine. You know, like I just feel like that was something that happened in my past, but it was a day. It was like an hour or whatever, you know, but
Mhm,
you just, you so many more hours have passed since then. And I've been so thankful and grateful for every hour that's passed since then. So that's not, that was an event that happened and put me on this trajectory. But you learn from it and see what kind of like lessons can come out of it and then move on. You grow, you just move on. I don't like to suffer in like a pity state either, you know, but there are I know there are people that cannot let certain things go,
mhm.
and
Do you have
my
advice
heart
about
goes out to them. I wouldn't know as far as advice. I mean, I would just all I can say is you gotta let it go,
mhm.
you
And
know.
I think for people, and I don't know if there is an answer here
Yeah.
because you're just your understanding that that's possible
Yeah.
to drop that wound
Yeah.
and move on, move forward, and stay in the gratitude.
Yeah.
Um, I think, and when you were saying about there's so many other crazy stories out there, but I
I know.
think the point of this is I do think people become so defined at times by their experiences, their early experiences, and they have a
Mhm.
hard time getting out of that cycle.
Yeah.
You've been able to do that. And I think that's what makes this story so extraordinary because
Thanks.
you're talking about this. You have to drop that wound. And I think if there's anything you could tell us about how to do that, how do you sit in it? I think about you sharing this story and you said you kind of did your own therapy by
Mhm.
sharing the story. Do you think talking and getting it out, actually physically speaking it and getting it out of your body and putting it out there to somebody who can listen with open ears, who can stay in some
Absolutely.
kind of, state of compassion so you feel held and you feel safe. And it seems
Absolutely.
to me that you have a good intuition about where to take that story to.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and, um, anyone who does have that type of trauma or that type of wound that they're carrying, I would say definitely talk about it. Talk about it, but find a safe space to talk about it, right? Like, you need to find somebody who is actually gonna be open to listening to what it is that you have to say. If that means that this is a person that you're paying them, sure. If it means that it is a close friend that you feel really safe with, do that. If it's a
Mhm.
relative that you feel really safe around, but the main thing is find your safety. Find somebody that you feel safe sharing these things with, and then bounce it off them. How would, maybe how would they have done it? And then go on to the next person that you feel safe with. I mean, that's my own personal experience of how I did it, and I found a lot of the people that I talked to just were very compassionate, very empathetic, helped me see things from different angles,
Mm.
and, it was very helpful for me.
And you feel that now being out in nature,
Absolutely.
what fills your soul today?
Oh my goodness, I love the beach. So, beaches, your toes in the sand, a walk out in nature, just really to feel yourself grounded and a lot of times just barefoot. I like that. I like to be barefoot and just kind of feel the earth, and it just feels like there's just so much more than the busyness that is happening everywhere, and you just really kinda have to connect to that sometimes, and, just your angels are taking care of you, the earth, you're able to breathe and have air in your lungs,
Mm.
it's all a beautiful thing.
If people could take away one thing from your story today, what would you like it to be?
Events don't define you, a childhood event does not define who you are and who you're meant to be, just keep one foot in front of the other and just keep going. And love deeply. Let everybody know who it is. When you love somebody, just let them know you love somebody. Be there for the people that you love too, you know, and let them be there for you. Be the safe space for someone else also. Get it off of them. Yeah. I liked that about you too, When you were telling me your story, it made me feel like, oh, this is awesome because I feel like I'm able to give her a safe space too, you know?
Well, and you certainly did that for me, and I
Oh,
I love that we could have that exchange.
yeah.
I
It
think
was a
when you
great exchange. I
does
loved it.
oh,
Yeah.
absolutely, and I think, when you go through hard times,
Mhm.
my hardest times came for me as a 40-year-old diagnosed
Yeah.
with cancer with 2
Mhm.
young kids, 7 and 4, and thinking I was potentially going to lose my life, and at one point coming very close with a
Yeah.
life-threatening, blood clot, clots to the lungs, and, it's interesting, even in that moment, you're not thinking about, "Should have worked harder, should have had my career go this way or that way,"
Mm-mm.
you're thinking about
Mm-mm.
for me, I was thinking about those kids
Mhm. Your
and
family.
not wanting to orphan those children, and
Absolutely.
that mother bond,
Mhm.
really, really keeps you going, and
Mhm.
so hearing you today talking about the presence that you show your girls and the flow of ideas and connection and thoughts and feelings, nothing's off limits.
Mhm.
Just reinforces for me, that doing that with my own children too has really created a bond that is unbreakable, unshakable. And
Mhm.
so I just thank you for identifying that again today, because that's where I can relate.
Yeah.
And there is certainly an incredible strength about you and an incredible this fortitude of ah moving
Yeah.
through. And you're
Yeah.
not denying what happened. And that's the thing that's
No.
beautiful too. You're not just
No.
shedding that.
Nope.
It's real. You acknowledge it. You're present with it. You've worked
Mhm.
through it.
Mhm.
And you're saying, I'm choosing life.
Yeah.
So thank you so
Yes, no
very much.
problem. Thank you.
And that was Keri Chen, reminding all of us the importance of getting our stories out, getting our feelings out. And she has shown us that by being able to communicate and heal, that she is able to become exactly who she's meant to be. Thank you so much for watching I Choose Happy. I'm Marilyn Gatis-Byrne. And if you'd like to continue these conversations, you can join us in our I Choose Happy Facebook group. Just go to Facebook and look up I Choose Happy. I'm in there every day and we have meaningful conversations. They're real. So we hope you'll join us there, and we'll see you again next time on I Choose Happy, presented by The Comfy.